Welcome everybody to the World of Ability podcast on the World of Ability Podcast Network, which we have here every Saturday at the same time, 2:00 p.m. Central, 3:00 Eastern. So this show and network were started a few years ago through a collaboration between Kurt Roskoff and Marcus Hart, Transform Your Media. And the official date of the launch of the show was July 26th, 2020, which is the 30th anniversary of the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act by then President George H.W. Bush in July 26, 1990, I believe, 30 years. And where was I going? So that whole thing is what kind of inspired or triggered this whole having this show and everything else we're doing with the people with disabilities and everything else. And so I'd like to give special thanks to Marcus Hart, Transform You, Jay Stoyan of the Disability Channel, Zach Clayton of the Tech Channel, Lawrence Wingate Studios for replaying the show on their platforms. Now we have a great guest here today. He's been on once or twice before, but we met Mr. D through the Happy Neighborhood Project, and he was all about his XP3 gasoline. And so D, you want to come in here and replace who you are, what you do, that kind of thing?
Oh, thank you, Emily. Glad to be here with you and Sue. And my name is D. Ennis. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's not quite like where the lake is where you're at. It's only going to be 111 for a few minutes, and it's up to 115 here in Vegas. So that's the reason. Yeah, that's beautiful there. And what, Minnesota or Wisconsin? Which one is it?
That is in Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. Okay.
Yeah, central Wisconsin. Yep.
In Las Vegas, we don't have that kind of beautiful weather right now. I don't think we ever have. Anyway, my product XP3 is essential for people who like to use a boat on a lake. They like to be on a boat. They have to depend on that boat for themselves and their family. They get out on the lake and they get back off the lake. They don't get down in the middle of the lake. XP3 guarantees that. It cleans out the fuel system. If it got a carburetor, it'll clean out that. Clean the injectors, the filters, all the sensors, and keeps it running even though the temperature may drop or there may get water in fuel, because XP3 actually disperses the water and burns it like it was normal fuel. So you want more confidence, you want to learn more. I mean, what do people like to know about up there in Wisconsin about fuel?
This is Sue Roskoff joining back in here with World of Ability. Thank you so much for being here, Dee. I know that we do occasionally have boats that have issues, and I would love to hear a little bit more about. Oh my gosh, look at that, flying over a jump. Tell us a little bit more about what the additive does, because I know you said how it works with the displacement I'm gonna just leave the video on in the background here. Feel free to, can you expound on that even more about what it all does and how they're able to get the product that you have?
Yeah, the products used worldwide for fuel issues because we don't have control over our fuel because the ethanol and the biofuels are so low octane and so poor quality that people really worry about whether they're going to be performance of their vehicle, whether their power is going to diminish, or whether their mileage in a car or gasoline or diesel engine is going to diminish because the ethanol fuels are really not high octane. They're very low octane, and they have to add additives to it. If you have your own additive like you normally buy in an auto parts store, they're made from the same petroleum distillates that the fuel is, and added alcohol. Alcohol is what they're putting in, 15% for the summertime right now, and that's not good for you. That rots out the rubber in your engines, especially in small engines like in boats, jet skis, even lawnmowers. The alcohol is not good for your rubber components. And because XP3 is completely organic, completely biodegradable, it does not harm anything. In fact, it enhances your fuel. That's why we call it a fuel enhancer. And if it didn't do what I'm explaining to you, why would somebody like Alcoa and Pepsi and Nestle use it exclusively in their vehicles? They use it in all their trains, the ocean-going ships. It works completely effective for these people because their bottom line depends on performance of their vehicles and their engines. We're used in 27 different countries. We've been around for over 25 years. And on top of that, everybody who orders our product through fuelconfidence.now.site, we contribute in the fight against human sex trafficking. We give a portion of that order to Truckers Against Trafficking, who have been fighting sex trafficking against these insidious people for many years. This new movie that came out called The Sound of Freedom is exactly what they're talking about. A lot of going on. So when you use XP3, you have confidence that the product is in performance, we're going to protect the environment, and protect children. Does that answer your question, Sue?
It does. That's amazing.
Thank you.
So I also have, I believe, it's been brought up about maybe a collaboration between you and Kurt and whoever, and the XP3 for any of your water skiing boats or anything like that.
Yeah, it's when you're using, especially in an environment like you have a higher humidity than we do here in Las Vegas. And that humidity between the temperature of the fuel and the temperature of the ambient air allows moisture that accumulates to condense in your fuel system. So when that condensed fuel creates a water content, and that will make your engine run rough. It'll also make your engine quit when you most depend upon it because you're not burning the fuel. And depending on how much moisture you get in, the fuel is going to really affect the performance of that engine. Where XP3 is the only product that actually disperses the water and blends with it, and instead of like oil and water separating, it actually blends it, and it will burn all the moisture out of there, just like it was part of the fuel system, like a gas burner. A typical additive that you find in an auto parts store, it burns with a black smoke. Well, that means it's adding more carbon to your engine. XP3 burns like a gas burner, just very, very sharp, no emissions. In fact, used in diesel trucks, it gets rid of the smoke in the smokestack. So it will help you a lot with a jet ski or a water boat. Does that answer your question, Emily?
Yeah, I was just, yeah, making kind of a comment. Sue, what do you think about the collaboration about using XP3 for your water ski boats?
Yeah, it would be by increasing your octane, you can actually save money. So if you have a tight budget and you have a small business, it will allow you to use low octane gas. And when you add XP3, you don't add it when you wait for your engine to start going bad. You add it as you're driving, when you fill up. 1 ounce to 25 gallons, and that 1 ounce will completely clean everything as you drive, not waiting for it to go down the hill and have to be cleaned with detergents. So when you do that, it actually cleans out the fuel tank even. I have one gentleman who has an old Toyota. The fuel pump went out. He had 400,000 miles on it, and when they replaced the fuel pump, because it's inside the gas tank, they says, how do you keep this gas tank so clean? And all he did was use XP3. That's a kind of, and Pepsi Cola, when they use it, it also through used oil analysis is a term they use when they change the oil of your vehicle. Not any average person doesn't do this, but the corporation will use a used oil analysis, and it shows that the oil is actually cleaner than they've ever seen it before they started using XP3, because it gets rid of all the carbon buildup. So if you have a fleet of vehicles and you have a business, that fleet of vehicles will not have to perform oil changes as often because it keeps the oil clean. Just a win-win situation for your pocketbook and for the environment and for your peace of mind. I can't hear you, Sue. Must be too tough doing a presentation in the middle of a campground.
Oh,
There we go. Can you hear me now?
I already hear you.
We're back. Okay. Not sure what happened there. I had a glitch of some sort. It disconnected from my Bluetooth. I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me. And so yeah, the performance of our boats and all that it is a huge thing. I know we've even had some issues with our club in the last couple of weeks. So I'm curious how much of that may have been a fuel related issue, or this is one side that I'm glad we have guys who know and love equipment, because that's not me. I don't know as much about the equipment end with the boats and all that. When it comes to skiing, I got that. I don't have it with the other end of it. So I'll have to introduce you to some of the guys that are in our club, so you could have that conversation with the guys who understand those pieces. Because there's nothing like, oh gosh, last Thursday night during our show, we actually in the middle of the show got the radio called to shore saying one of the boats is down, we can't use it the rest of the show. And I never heard what exactly happened, why that happened, what that meant. But again, when you lose a massive piece of equipment during the middle of a show, like, you know, if you no longer have that boat, you have to on the fly figure out can we fix this? Can we not fix this? If we can fix it, you know, that by all means, that's what they need to do. But more often than not, that when they say boats down for the rest, the guys know what they're saying. We're out of luck, and we have to go get maintenance done now. You know, we rely on those guys who know all those pieces on how to take care of that stuff. If something like what you have to offer is able to reduce those types of incidences from taking place, oh my goodness, what a difference that would make on so many different levels, both on the financial end and on the show end. For, you know, as you're seeing here with when you have ski shows taking place, imagine our club was here and that happened, where all of a sudden, oh, oops, your boat's not working. That'd be a problem.
Yeah,
So,
you know, when I used to have a boat, we'd be out in the middle of the lake before XP3, and because it wouldn't start, you know, it wasn't fuel injected, it was a carburetor. You know, you got to balance the carburation, and I was like Humphrey Bogart in African Queen. I was actually putting a rope around my waist and pulling the boat out of the coast so we could find somebody to help us out in the middle of the lake. Because the fuel is key, number one, in starting and stopping. Now you can have electrical problems. You can have a loose wire or spark plugs. But if your spark plugs get dirty because of dirty fuel and moisture, that precedes the problem occurring. So if you know, if I ever get on a Zoom call with you and some of your maintenance people, I can actually show them that we burn XP3 in comparison to the other fuel additives in a Petri dish. You'll see the smoke goes up from all the other products. They're all petroleum based. So that means they're going to burn with a black carbon emission. So it burns up like this, where XP3, as we light it, it actually burns like a gas burner, like I explained in there. Now then, we also take it one more step. We add water to a test tube to the other additives and XP3, take them. In XP3, it settles and completely looks clear as the XP3. The other ones, you see the separation. The fuel additive in the water, the fuel additive in the water. And then you take it, put the, what do you call it? Like one of these down there, one of these cotton swabs, and you stick it in the mixture and light it. You know, it burns like a sparkler because the water is not burning; it's just kind of sparkling off. You put the probe in there, XP3, it just burns. Perfect. It's just logic. It's just scientific logic, but you don't see it in any other parts cars because it's mostly commercial. So they don't, most people don't know about it. I'll say, hear it from D.
that's pretty amazing. So yeah, that is something I'll definitely need to connect with you on that. And actually, I'm seeing another friend has joined us as well. So I want to make sure to have Barbara come on in here and say hello and see what is on Barbara's mind today. I know she's been a long-time contributor to the show. So Barbara, are you there?
Yeah, it was just good to see if she wanted to. Barbara.
Hi, I'm here.
How are you?
Yeah, and I'm so impressed with what I was just hearing. You know, I know we have so many wonderful solutions and we need to communicate about, and we need to have people adopt and start using, right? For you know, the good of the planet, the good of the future.
Exactly. So, I know last week you had started to tell us a little bit about an event that you had attended. Do you have a moment? You want to just tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh yeah, that's the Rainbow Gathering that's been going on since 1972. It, you know, the idea of Woodstock and yeah, we're gonna change the world together. You know, we're a new, more conscious generation of people, and you know, we're about love, not war, and we're about health and children. And it was so wonderful. As when it started, it was we're gonna heal each other, we're gonna educate each other, we're gonna work together, and you know, create a much greater future. And we're gonna represent in the few weeks that we have it in national forest that we're very capable of making that happen. And when it started, you had the best teachers and you had the best spirit. You had people that were climbing up mountains in national forests, carrying a baby grand piano one time, carrying their massage tables and chiropractic tables. And just the American Indians would always create a sweat lodge for everybody near a water source that we could jump in, that we could swim in, and children would have so much fun. And people would come to Kitty Village and bring their horse that the kids could ride, and put fishnet under the trees so that the kids could climb the trees and they wouldn't have to worry about kids falling and hurting themselves. And that was so funny one year when the kids are like climbing the trees and their fishnets there. And I hear someone say, I think that's the internet they've been talking about. Look at how these kids are like relating to each other. How it was, and there was such intelligence there you could learn from. And seeing people speaking to 3-year-olds as if they were your average genius physics professor, and hearing children respond to that was very exciting to me. Going with the ecologists and the botanists at the top of the mountain and showing us what's edible and what's usable, and taking us to the meadow and going to the lake. And there was so much joy and beauty and freedom in these happenings. But it was all pretty much people that were professors, college educated. People didn't have a hard time at all being in a vegetarian activity that, didn't need to smoke or drink. We were excited about what we were learning and what we were sharing. And then finally, after this going on for years, and one time coming up with 30,000 people supposedly showed up at a national forest for this rainbow gathering that would happen the 4th of July. And no fireworks, because we're trying to be so good, to the planet and to animals, and just breaking silence on the 4th of July as people were in silent meditation or quiet meditation until the children would come in a big parade, all this joy, all this music, and kids all dressed up and having fun. And then the silence would be broken, and that would happen around noon. And then one year, someone's cooking meat, and what are you doing? And these kids are like going down the mountain to A camp, which was alcohol camp, where these people would show up and they would say, we're going to help you set up and we'll help you clean up, and we're not going to bother, your hippie kind of gathering. We'll protect your cars for you. You don't have to worry about us, and we're not going to bring any alcohol up the mountain where you are. But these guys started becoming more and more powerful because you have a lot of intelligence there, people knowing how to create wonderful foods using, making fires, and protecting the environment. And you don't have any electricity there. We were avoiding using electricity. We were being off the grid. And the young people started going to hang out with the people in A camp and drinking with them. And then this one year where there's meat being cooked, and I'm like, what are you doing? And they said, there are so many homeless young people, and they were aware of the homeless vets. A lot of these were vets. And they said, and they're not going to go where they can't smoke because, they're addicted. And then they'll come if there's food, but they won't see vegetarian food totally as food. And we got to embrace everybody because we're going to help everybody like learn and be nurtured and heal. And if somebody would come to a rainbow gathering and they would be acting out in any way, someone would be assigned. You know, you had a lawyer camp when you're trying to show people how to protect themselves, people who were homeless, you know, how they could better protect themselves and not be used by, like in Key West, when there was going to be a big happening and afterwards there'd be a big mess everywhere, they would scoop up anyone who was homeless, you know, because they could, and then that would become their free cleanup squad, because those guys would go to jail, and this is, you know, what they could do to get out is help clean. And so here was people, you know, lawyers trying to show people how to protect themselves and not be used like that. And I thought that was pretty interesting, you know, and how not to get upset, how not to fight. A lot of good, you know, still was happening, but because you had people who were more desperate, who were being welcomed to show up. First time you ever had any violence happen at a rainbow gathering. And then you had people that, you know, were coming to just dance and be free and learn and teach people about all kinds of healing modalities, and these people not showing up. You always had a yoga camp. People are teaching people yoga, but people who knew what the original gatherings were like stopped showing. So this last gathering I found out in New Hampshire had the least amount of people that have, you know, that ever happened since it started in the 70s. And people were somewhat confused about exactly what they were doing there. And then you had like silliness with people wanting to, you know, run around naked, you know, a lot of so how to communicate and how to become strong enough and how to become those, you know, mother, father figures that could help the rainbow gathering come back to what it was initially, which was a very fun, safe place for children to be, and so many people that wanted to share what they were getting their degrees in, what they were learning. You know, just having it be about healing and nurturing. When people come to Rainbow Gathering, you're met with like, welcome home, sister. Welcome home, brother. And, you know, no worry about money, no money exchange here. You know, just, you know, you could help get some firewood, or you could help like dig a shitter, you know, and how to get back that, like, all that magic. You had a Jesus camp that would be there. You had the Hare Krishnas would come. You had Jerusalem, which was a Hasidic Jewish community, you know, would come and create a village somewhere in this forest that people could come to and learn. And, you know, you had exchanges happening. You had people talking about how we're going to change the criminal justice system so that there's no recidivism, and what was actually working in different countries. You have on the 4th of July, it's your national gathering. January 1st, you have a gathering that's international in different countries. And then a Valentine's Day, you have your local gatherings, where in Florida, it's in Ocala. And, you know, people would have their walkie-talkies. So if, you know, anyone should get lost or anything, people could quickly communicate with the different campsites and help, you know, for any problem that might be happening. There was you had comm units where people who were nurses and doctors would be to help people. psychologists and psychiatrists, you know, to help people if they were feeling uncomfortable and wanted to come to a calm unit and feel calm and learn how to handle their feelings better. And I was saying, if anyone acted out, someone would be assigned to stay with that person, you know, and be their really good friend and really listen to them. There was so much that just seemed to me like genius, and how to establish that. Again, I came and I brought laughter yoga, created some laughter yoga circles, and young people, they loved that. And we were teaching each other different chants, and there was so much good. And we had a big tent where we were talking about like how to create new age schools, how to keep children. So what the children were telling us is they felt like they would learn the most where they were having the most fun and they were happiest, and they were enjoying learning. And it was so good to hear kids speaking like that, because they were speaking their truth. So I don't know how yeah, I can communicate so, you know, we can have the best of that, you know, continue to happen again. Yeah.
Yeah,
What were you
that's
gonna say?
amazing.
But it's been going on every single year since 72.
Wow. Is there multiple locations or is it just in the one?
Just in one national forest every year for the national. And then when on Valentine's Day, then it's multiple locations. And because that's regional, that's like by where you live.
That's amazing. Actually, Dee, is that something you've heard of before? Because for me, that's a new thing. If it wasn't for Barbara, I never would have heard of the Rainbow Gathering.
No, I hadn't either. It's beautiful. Sounds like a lot of help for people who need help, and need, it's just a good organization.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And there's a lot to give, a lot of giving, you know. And then we would tell people that lived around that forest, you know, that buy triple what you usually sell, because people are going to come through and you're going to be able to make money, and, you know, promising all the city officials and all, you'll see, you know, we're going to leave the land better than when we came. Nothing's going to get destroyed or damaged. And people really committed to that, you know, that concept.
That's perfect. Actually, when you describe it, it sounds like it has some similarities to the mutual aid network. And I know, Emily, that's something that you are pretty involved in. I'm wondering if you could give some description too of what that is. Tell a little bit about, you know, what is the mutual aid network and what is your role in your local organization there? Just because it has some similarities to what Barbara's describing.
Basically it's like another sort of economic solution, but like helping people and not necessarily always through like a financial way, and just kind of coming together, like helping each other. So that's sort of what Barbara was describing too. So let's see.
You might like this when we'd say a pledge, there'd be, I pledge allegiance to this earth and to all beings who inhabit it, and to this planet for which it stands, one world, under love, indivisible, with peace and liberty for all. And then when you tried to share that with people and say, let's do this pledge, people are like, okay, now let's do the real one again. Getting people to do the changes we need to do, right, to make this whole world more conscious. And so we start like using the best product.
It's amazing. I love it. Well, and actually, I'm just going to take a quick second here. I know I've had on the screen a lot of action in the background. I don't remember at the beginning if we gave much description of what's all truly happening here. There's a water ski tournament taking place in Wisconsin Rapids. It takes place in July of every summer here. Wisconsin is the water ski or the show ski capital of the world. Florida is the water ski capital of the world, but Wisconsin is the show ski capital of the world. There are more show ski teams here in our state than anywhere else. Actually, you're seeing somebody barefooting backwards right now. So there's, I'm not even sure now, 27 teams. I actually didn't count. It's 25, 27 teams that are competing over the course of the weekend here. And all day yesterday, all day today, all day tomorrow. And look at this, still going. That's impressive.
Water skiing barefoot now. Bigfoot would be perfect.
And not just barefoot, he's actually backwards. So that's crazy good. And there's this massive audience here. A lot of the audience actually is fellow water skiers, and it's a lot of fun to be able to cheer on each other's teams and see all the cool things that are taking place out here. This is where we were able to do some adaptive water skiing in 2014. We did some demos in between ski shows on that particular weekend, and that was kind of what spurred things forward to have adaptive skiing around here anyway, to be a lot more popular and a lot more accessible for folks with disabilities to be able to ski more. We did actually do some adaptive water skiing yesterday nearby here. We have a team that we work with quite closely, and it's the Lindsay Legis Free Water Ski Club that is a lot of the members of the group are part of the Browns Lake Aqueduct ski team. Their team actually is up next after the team that's going now. This team will have the end of their show. It'll be 10 minutes for them to clean up. And then the Aqueducts will have 20 minutes to set up, and then it'll be their show time coming up in probably about 45-ish minutes from now. So, and their theme, they have Addams Family as their theme this year. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of friends on the team there that are, I'm sure, getting a bit nervous right now because they're going to be doing their thing for all of us. We're coming up real quick, but they are the ones that we do the adaptive water skiing with 3 times a summer down in Burlington at their home site at Fisher Park on Browns Lake. And the part of their group was who we were with yesterday, just on, so you can see where the lake is here. If you can follow this all the way down around the bend quite a ways, there's an area that's absolutely perfect for us to be able to do adaptive skiing here. So that's become a new tradition here on Friday. Today this year we started at 11 in the morning, where we did some adaptive skiing and went through the afternoon. There were some that used the sit ski, some were stand-up skiers, some were sit-down skiers. It was a mix of folks that came out and joined us, but it's always a powerful event, a lot of fun, inspiring. It's fun to see. Now, after doing it here for several years, we have quite a few friends that are coming back each year, and we hear pretty often that it's one of the highlights of the year to be able to come out and ski and have that opportunity. Because you know what? I'm guilty of being one that kind of takes the sport for granted, because I get the pleasure of skiing multiple times a week, every week, all summer long, just because, hey, I joined a club and it's a lot of fun. But, people who have disabilities don't have that luxury of being able to just go and do things like that on a regular basis. So that we're able to provide that opportunity. And again, when we did the demos here, that helped expand that aspect of the sport across the state. There was originally around 5-ish opportunities that took place around the state at that time. And now there's close to 30 different locations with all these different teams where there's the actual opportunity and training so that, people know how to do it, have the equipment and do it safely. Oh, that horn means there's 5 minutes left for their showtime. So I'm assuming that means there's probably a big pyramid coming up. So stay tuned for some high action going on here. See how tall they go. But this has been a lot of fun for us to get to know a lot of different individuals on different teams. And it is amazing. It's kind of fun that we're able to do this live here now so that you guys can get a glimpse of what this actually is all about here. I mean, I know Kurt talks about the story pretty commonly with what we all do across the year with our podcasting and whatnot, and to actually have a chance to be here in person and have a visual on what this all is. For me personally, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm a little partial to skiing, obviously, but it's fun to be able to have a way to share that with everybody. And Dee, Emily, Barbara, awfully glad that you're able to be here with us so you can see with us what's all happening. It looks like that boat is about to pull out here, so there's going to be some big action happening in just a moment. So part of what you're seeing here, so big boats here, look at that. There's 2 motors on the back. They've got 3 different lines going out to all the skiers that are sitting on the dock. Girls actually are, for the most part, sit on the shoulders of those that are basing the pyramid. Oh, they got almost everybody off. So you can see they start out sitting on their shoulders, and from there they climb up.
Do they ever have raft races on that river?
That's a great question. They should. I have no idea.
I mean, the only thing I've ever been in is the Las Vegas JCs, which I was former president. We would have an annual raft race where people would build their rafts out of whatever they could, and they get in the crew and they'd race from one point to the other.
That sounds like fun. I would love to be part of something like that sometime.
You won't need XP3, which is a lot of rubbing, muscle rubbing.
Oh, and here they come. Looks like they got some 3 high pyramids coming through here. Awesome.
Yeah. I tried water skiing one time, and I had these Levi pants, and I never got out of the water because my pockets kept filling up with water like a sea anchor.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I love it.
Oh.
I can picture that. That's where they say a lot of, with doing the shows like this, costumes are important. You don't want that to happen. You're trying to put on a show. Amazing. Well, actually, I think if you guys don't mind, Emily, I'm going to hand the show over to you to finish up. I'm going to hop off here. I'm going to be needed in another location here pretty quickly. So I'm going to hand you the host privileges. And if you guys feel free to actually, Dee, remind us what your product all is again and how it can be beneficial, not just for skiers, but for everybody all over the place with their motorized vehicles and what they can do. And if you can give us, Emily, a run through again of the credits, I would really appreciate that. And all of you, I appreciate you so much for being here. Sorry I have to hop off, but I am thrilled to have had a chance to share this all with you and that you guys were able to share with us what you've all got going on as well. So as always with World of Ability, we are so thrilled and thankful. So Emily, over to you.
Say hi to Kurt.
I will definitely do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you want to give like a little recap of it?
Yeah. So as Sue said, this is not just for jet skis and snowmobiles. We'll work for snowmobiles, but when you got a single mom or somebody who has a family member that needs medical attention quickly, or they got to go pick up prescriptions, and it's to drive somewhere, you have to drive somewhere, you want to depend on that vehicle always going to be ready to start and run at a moment's notice, at the drop of the hat. So XP3, by keeping the engine clean and keeping the fuel system clean, you will ensure that it's going to start. I mean, you're going to have issues with batteries, you're going to have issues with flat tires, but the major problem with problems with vehicles, personal vehicles, or even a fleet of vehicles for a contractor, is dependability. If you don't have dependability and peace of mind that you're going to be able to use your vehicle, it's a real issue. And when sometimes, just like with an ambulance, you gotta make sure that's why they keep them running. They gotta depend on it getting from point A to point B as quickly as possible. But for your personal use, XP3 will keep your fuel so clean that you'll never have an issue with that kind of a problem. And everybody wins in that situation. So XP3 has been, like I said, been around for 27 years. Even the country of Ghana uses to increase their octane in all their fuel stations. They don't have low grade and high grade. They have one grade, and they use XP3 to guarantee this all going to be high octane. And for diesel engines, they call that cetane. So the cetane level increases, and gasoline, the oxygen level increases. So you always have confidence that that vehicle is going to run cleanly. In fact, in the Midwest, they use it as a stabilizer in farming equipment. It will stabilize the fuel for up to 5 years, so it doesn't break down. So if you want to know more about XP3, go to my website, Fuel Confidence, one word, .now.site. And there's a lot of MSDS sheets in there. There's a lot of data on it, and you can actually order the product with free shipping right there on the website. And if you need to talk to me, my email link is in there, and I would love to help you.
Yeah, that's awesome until like stabilization and that kind of thing too.
Yeah, it's probably the first time I mentioned that to you. Stabilization, people add, let's say they got a lawnmower and of course it's in the snow in the winter, they don't want the gasoline to go bad, or they actually create a film in the system, so they add a stabilizer. Well, XP3 does it automatically. If you've got XP3, you can use it in your lawnmower and leave it over the winter and start it up in the spring. That's how effective it is. And if you've got concerns about glyphosate, glyphosate is a insidious thing that they add to our crops to kill bugs and everything, but it actually kills everything. And when the glyphosate is burned in any typical engine, it goes out into the environment. So if you're behind a car with this putting out smoke, you could be getting glyphosate in your face. And I said before, these cotton swabs, I don't know why I couldn't even think of the word, but cotton swabs, just to demonstrate, when you put it in XP3 and it had water to it added, it burns like a gas burner. But you put a cotton swab in a typical fuel additive that has had water added to it and shook it up, it burns like a sparkler. It doesn't burn all the fuel, it tries to burn the water, and that's going to create issues. And when you if you worry about your dash light coming on, and you say, oh my God, there's a dash light, check engine dash light. What do? You panic, you take it to the garage, and they just kind of run some detergent through it and reset the computer and charge you $200. Why waste money when you can keep it from ever coming on? It may come on for electrical problems, but it will never come on for a fuel issue if you're using XP3. And if you have a problem with the older classic cars have to pass emission checks in many states. And because the smog test, we have to check everything with smog tests. It will guarantee a classic car will pass the smog test. And that's just another thing, peace of mind. If you get into, if you don't drive your vehicle very much, it can get carboned up. And when you go in for a smog check, it may not pass. And that's going to cost you money to go to a garage and have them clean everything. Where XP3 will keep it clean. We got much more time, Emily, or is that about it for me? Any questions?
Not sure if I have any more questions at the moment. I think we are getting Of course, we're kind of to the almost the end here, but Barbara, do you have any last words or anything else you'd like to say today?
Just that, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, just that everybody have like the most wonderful week, and we'll come to each other next weekend with a lot more to share.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You too. Oh, you're really doing something meaningful for everybody. Thank you.
We try to help. We're an American company, and we've been in business for 25 years, and we're based out of San Diego, California, but our distributors that I work with are up in Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Mhm. And nobody's ever tried to stop you for, I know like in the 70s, people were running around with electric cars in front of the White House, but you know, the idea was that
Yeah,
they were being
we don't
stopped.
work. The only vehicle we can't help is a Tesla driver.
Yeah, that's supposed to be pretty amazing, pretty advanced.
But if you got a, what's that one? There's a hybrid. It's got the engine and a battery, and we can help them.
Uh-huh. That's great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Sue. Thank you for always sharing the beautiful outdoors and people having fun. I love to see that.
Yeah, you're welcome. So there isn't anything else here. So again, like I said before, we are here every Saturday. At 2:00 p.m. Central, 3:00 Eastern. If anybody is, or I got. So again, I'd like to thank Marcus, Jay, Lawrence, Zach for putting the show on their platforms. And we are here every Saturday at 2:00 Central, 3:00 Eastern. If anybody has any questions, comments, would like to be on the show, anything like that, you can either connect with me at podcast engineer54@gmail.com. It's podcast engineer54@gmail.com. Or Kurt at 262-372-1754. And I'd like to thank Dee and Barbara for coming on today. And
You're welcome.
I'd like to wish everybody a safe and productive week and to stay happy.
Thank you.